Hi guys, my name is Rushika and today we're going to talk about Plato. So this dude, he was born in 428 BC in Athens and he had really rich parents, so he had a really great childhood also. He also served in the army and excelled at it. I mean, this is not what you think philosophers come from, and yet Plato was different. So, Plato had this really cool teacher called Socrates. What happens is people often confuse Plato and Socrates, but Socrates did not write any books and Plato did. So, please do not confuse Plato and Socrates to be the same person. So, Plato found his teacher to be really, really awesome. That is because he could see that Socrates would just crush the kind of presumptions people held on to in ancient Greece without ever raising his voice, you could say, and which was very uncommon for that period because you'd think that for people to approve of your opinion, you'd have to like muscle your way through it. But Socrates would have such rational discussions and he would just deflate dogmas and crush presumptions. Plato thinks that every form of government is bound to collapse if it follows its basic principle too much. For example, aristocracy likely ends because the power is limited in the narrow circle, or a plutocracy, which is basically the wealthy few governing the general public, which some people think is happening in America right now. Both aristocracy and plutocracy almost always end in revolutions, as the general public do not think that the people in power are taking care of their demands. And these sort of revolutions are started by really small petty things. But these revolutions result because of the accumulated wrongs that the people in power did not pay attention to. And when they happen, they usually here to stay. The conclusion of such revolutions is almost always a democracy. But even democracy, according to Plato, ruins itself with excess of its principle. As democracy's basic principle is that anybody who is a citizen of that country could hold the public office, which sounds really awesome at first, but even this can be disastrous as not a lot of people are always educated or knowledgeable enough to choose the best rulers for themselves or the best courses because people almost always choose the popular choice, and as we know, popular choices cannot always be the right choice. The more Plato thought about it, the more he realized what a bad decision it was to leave the selection of government officials to the general public, as they might choose any buffoon who just looked good enough or spoke well enough. And democratic opinion can often be influenced by wealthy gifts, or there could be really wealthy people who just spread out everywhere and choose somebody amongst them, and that person would govern only in the interests of the rich. Now, that is not a very good arrangement. Plato offers this example that if you wanted to cut your hair, you wouldn't go to a makeup artist, you would go to a hairstylist. But if you wanted to get your makeup done right, you would go to a makeup artist. You wouldn't go to a hairstylist. The hairstylist doesn't know anything about makeup and the makeup artist doesn't know anything about hair. Why would you do that? So again, if you were dying of a disease, you would not call the most cutest doctor on call. You would call the doctor who has the most experience in dealing with that disease. So why are we letting people who know nothing about choosing officials for the government choose the officials for the government? But that is the age-old question of political philosophy. Do people always know what's best for them? Do they always make the right decisions? Is democracy really the best form of government? Tell me what you think about the different systems of power in the comments below, and like and subscribe and please share.